16 Autopsy Revelations from Black Actor Deaths. What if I told you that a Hollywood king filmed his most physically demanding role while cancer was destroying his body? That a music legend and her own daughter died in nearly identical bathtub scenes, exactly 3 years apart? That one of TV's most disciplined fitness icons collapsed without warning days before his blockbuster premiered? Behind every famous death lies a coroner's report that tells the real story. The secrets, the silent battles, the medical truths nobody wanted to face. From Chadwick Boseman's hidden cancer to Whitney Houston's haunting bathtub mystery, these 16 autopsy revelations will change how you remember each one of these legends. Welcome to Remembered Lives channel. Hit subscribe, drop a comment, and let's uncover the truth. Number 1 will leave you stunned. Chadwick Boseman. When the world woke up on August 28, 2020, to news that Chadwick Boseman had died at just 43 years old, the shock was paralyzing. The man who had embodied King T'Challa in Black Panther, a film that grossed over $1.347 billion globally and earned a historic Best Picture Oscar nomination, was gone. But the most devastating revelation wasn't the death itself. It was what his autopsy and medical records exposed about a 4-year battle nobody knew he had been fighting. Chadwick's official cause of death was listed as multiple organ failure due to colorectal cancer. He had been diagnosed with stage 3 colon cancer back in 2016, 4 full years before his death. The disease eventually progressed to stage 4, slowly invading his liver, lungs, and other vital organs. Throughout that brutal progression, he underwent multiple surgeries, intensive chemotherapy cycles, and immunotherapy treatments, all while filming some of the most physically demanding roles of his career. Black Panther 2018, Avengers Infinity War 2018, Avengers Endgame 2019, Da 5 Bloods 2020, and his Oscar-nominated final performance in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom 2020 were all completed while cancer was actively destroying his body. The fight scenes in Wakanda were performed by a man receiving chemotherapy. The grueling jungle shoots in Da 5 Bloods happened as his body wasted away beneath his costume. Medical experts later explained why his case was so heartbreaking. Colorectal cancer in patients under 50 has been rising sharply, and symptoms like abdominal pain, fatigue, and weight loss are often dismissed. By the time Boseman's diagnosis arrived, the disease had already advanced significantly. He chose to keep his condition completely private, fearing it would change how directors saw him. The autopsy didn't reveal trauma or sudden tragedy. It revealed something far more profound: a king who carried a battlefield inside his own body and never asked anyone to lighten his crown. Whitney Houston. On February 11, 2012, one day before the Grammy Awards, Whitney Houston was found unconscious, face down in the bathtub of Suite 434 at the Beverly Hilton Hotel in Beverly Hills, California. Her personal assistant discovered her submerged in scalding water. Paramedics declared her dead at 3:55 p.m. She was just 48 years old. The Los Angeles County Coroner's autopsy report that followed remains one of the most detailed celebrity death investigations in modern history. The official cause of death was accidental drowning, with atherosclerotic heart disease and cocaine use listed as significant contributing factors. Toxicology revealed cocaine and its metabolites at moderate to high levels, plus marijuana, Xanax, Benadryl, and the muscle relaxant Flexeril. Forensic toxicologist Bruce Goldberger described her as acutely intoxicated from cocaine at the moment of death. The coroner found something even more disturbing. Her arteries were 60% narrowed by cardiovascular disease. Investigators discovered a small spoon with a white crystal-like substance and a rolled-up piece of white paper in her bathroom. Classic cocaine paraphernalia. The 42-page final report listed 12 different prescription medications scattered throughout her hotel room, prescribed by 5 different doctors. Open champagne and beer bottles sat nearby. Small scald burns marked her face from the running water that had continued flowing as she lay submerged. Medical experts theorized that cocaine triggered an arrhythmia or seizure that caused her to lose consciousness. With heart disease already weakening her cardiovascular system, slipping beneath the water was inevitable. Beyond music, Whitney was a genuine acting star. The Bodyguard, 1992, grossed over $410 million globally. Waiting to Exhale, 1995, and The Preacher's Wife, 1996, cemented her dramatic credibility. Her death didn't just end a singing career. It ended one of the most beloved black female screen presences of the 1990s. 3 years later, her daughter Bobbi Kristina would die in shockingly similar circumstances. Michael K. Williams. On September 6, 2021, Labor Day, Michael K. Williams' nephew discovered him slumped over the dining room table of his Williamsburg, Brooklyn penthouse apartment. He was 54 years old. Investigators arrived to a scene that immediately raised flags. Drug paraphernalia scattered nearby, a plate with white powder residue on it, and tinfoil with burn marks consistent with drug use. The actor who had given the world Omar Little, arguably the most beloved character on HBO's The Wire and the favorite TV character of Barack Obama himself, was gone. The New York City Office of Chief Medical Examiner conducted a comprehensive autopsy. The official cause of death was acute intoxication from the combined effects of fentanyl, parafluorofentanyl, heroin, and cocaine. The manner of death was ruled accidental. Each substance individually was dangerous. Together, they created a chemical cocktail his body had no chance of surviving. Fentanyl is roughly 50 to 100 times more potent than morphine. Even microscopic doses can stop breathing within minutes. Parafluorofentanyl is an even more deadly analog. Williams had purchased what he believed was heroin laced with fentanyl. Federal prosecutors later arrested 4 men connected to the dealer who supplied the deadly batch. Each was convicted in 2023, with the lead trafficker sentenced to over 30 years in federal prison. What made Williams's death particularly tragic was his decades-long openness about addiction. He had spoken publicly about his struggles since the early 2000s, attended Narcotics Anonymous regularly, and used his platform to advocate for harm reduction and criminal justice reform. He had even traveled to mentor at-risk youth across America in the months before his death. Beyond Omar Little, his legacy spanned Boardwalk Empire, Lovecraft Country, earning an Emmy nomination, 12 Years a Slave, and his haunting documentary work. He died in active recovery, a man fighting demons that proved chemically unwinnable. Malcolm-Jamal Warner. On July 20, 2025, while vacationing with his family at Playa Cocles Beach in the Limón province of Costa Rica, Malcolm-Jamal Warner was caught in a powerful rip current while swimming. The man who had spent 8 seasons as Theo Huxtable on The Cosby Show, defining black father-son television relationships for an entire generation, was dragged beneath the Caribbean Sea. Despite immediate rescue attempts from his wife and beachgoers, Malcolm-Jamal could not be revived. He was 54 years old. Costa Rica's Judicial Investigation Agency, Organismo de Investigación Judicial, OIJ, immediately took over the case. The autopsy was conducted at the Forensic Sciences Department in San Joaquin de Flores, with American consular officials observing per international protocol. The official cause of death was confirmed as accidental asphyxia by submersion, drowning. Toxicology screening revealed no alcohol, no drugs, and no foreign substances in his system. There were no signs of trauma, no defensive wounds, and no suspicious circumstances. What the autopsy did reveal was the brutal physical reality of how rip currents kill even strong swimmers. Water filling the lungs at extraordinary pressure, oxygen deprivation reaching the brain within 4 minutes, and irreversible cardiac arrest occurring shortly after. Playa Cocles has long been classified by Costa Rican authorities as one of the country's most dangerous beaches, due to its powerful currents, though warning signs are inconsistently posted. His daughter, who was swimming alongside him, was rescued by local lifeguards and survived. His wife was on shore when the tragedy unfolded. Beyond Theo Huxtable, Warner had built one of the most respected multi-decade careers in Black entertainment. He directed dozens of television episodes, earned a Grammy nomination for his 2015 jazz poetry album, Selfless, played Dr. A.J. Austin on The Resident, and hosted the acclaimed podcast Not All Hood. His autopsy didn't reveal scandal. It revealed how quickly a peaceful family vacation can transform into permanent loss. Sidney Poitier. On January 6, 2022, the man who had broken every barrier facing Black actors in 20th century Hollywood passed away peacefully at his Beverly Hills home. Sidney Poitier was 94 years old, the first Black man to win the Academy Award for Best Actor, for Lilies of the Field in 1964, had spent 6 decades dismantling racial gatekeeping in American cinema. His death certificate, filed with the Los Angeles County coroner, painted a picture of dignified decline rather than sudden tragedy. The official cause of death was cardiopulmonary failure, with 2 contributing conditions explicitly listed: Alzheimer's disease and prostate cancer. No autopsy was performed because his physicians had been actively monitoring his terminal conditions for years. The death certificate confirmed he had been battling Alzheimer's progressively worsening since at least 2015, a diagnosis his family kept entirely private to preserve his dignity. His prostate cancer had been diagnosed earlier and managed for over a decade through hormonal therapy. Cardiopulmonary failure occurs when the heart and lungs simultaneously cease functioning effectively. At 94, with multiple comorbidities slowly compromising organ systems, his body simply could no longer sustain itself. Medical experts call this type of death natural causes, but the layered conditions reveal how much pain and decline can hide behind public silence. Poitier's filmography redefined what was possible for Black artists. In the Heat of the Night, 1967, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, 1967, and To Sir with Love, 1967, 3 Oscar-caliber films released the same year. He directed Stir Crazy, 1980, starring Richard Pryor and Gene Wilder, then served as Bahamian ambassador to Japan from 1997 to 2007. President Barack Obama awarded him the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 2009. Oprah Winfrey called him her mentor. His autopsy-free death certificate told a quieter story than most on this list, but the conditions behind those words documented decades of silent struggle behind one of the most graceful careers in Hollywood history. Michael Clarke Duncan. On July 13, 2012, Michael Clarke Duncan suffered a massive heart attack at his Los Angeles home. His fiancée, reality TV personality Omarosa Manigault Newman, performed CPR until paramedics arrived. He was rushed to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center, where doctors managed to revive his heartbeat, but the damage had already begun. After nearly 2 months hospitalized in a critical care unit, the gentle giant of the Green Mile passed away on September 3, 2012, at age 54. His death certificate, filed in Los Angeles County, listed a cascading sequence of medical failures. The immediate cause was respiratory failure, caused by anoxic encephalopathy, brain damage from oxygen deprivation during his initial cardiac event. Underlying conditions included cardiac arrhythmia, myocardial infarction, heart attack, and a long-standing history of sarcoidosis, an inflammatory autoimmune disease that produces granulomas throughout multiple organs, particularly the lungs and heart. The medical chain reaction was devastating. Sarcoidosis had been silently inflaming his cardiac tissue for years, weakening the heart muscle and disrupting electrical conduction pathways. When his heart attack struck, those pre-existing scars made effective resuscitation nearly impossible. Even after his heartbeat was restored, the minutes his brain went without oxygen caused irreversible damage. his lungs gradually deteriorated, and ventilator dependence followed. Despite weeks of aggressive treatment, his organs sequentially failed. Duncan stood 6'5" and weighed over 315 pounds. His towering physical presence had made him a Hollywood casting director's dream, but it had also masked serious cardiovascular vulnerabilities that statistical mortality data shows disproportionately affect tall, large-framed black men. Tragically, he had been making serious lifestyle changes in the years before his death, transitioning to a vegetarian diet and exercising regularly. Beyond his Oscar-nominated portrayal of John Coffey in The Green Mile, 1999, he appeared in Armageddon, 1998, Planet of the Apes, 2001, Daredevil, 2003, and Sin City, 2005. His autopsy revealed how chronic disease can kill even the most physically imposing men, slowly, then all at once. Lance Reddick. On the morning of March 17, 2023, Lance Reddick was found unresponsive at his Studio City, California home by his personal assistant. Just 6 days before the world premiere of John Wick Chapter 4, in which he reprised his iconic role as the Continental Hotel concierge Charon, the disciplined, regal-voiced actor was gone at 60 years old. The shock was magnified by his famously rigorous fitness regimen. He had been spotted promoting the film just days earlier, looking lean, energetic, and entirely healthy. The Los Angeles County Medical Examiner's Office did not perform a full autopsy. Reddick's death certificate listed the cause as ischemic heart disease and atherosclerotic coronary artery disease, natural causes determined from his medical history, rather than post-mortem dissection. His family confirmed they had requested no autopsy be performed, reportedly out of religious considerations and personal privacy. This decision sparked considerable medical commentary. Ischemic heart disease occurs when narrowed arteries restrict blood flow to the heart muscle. Atherosclerosis, plaque buildup inside arterial walls, was clearly visible in his cardiovascular history despite his disciplined diet and consistent exercise. Cardiologists later emphasized publicly that Reddick's case illustrates a brutal medical truth. Cardiovascular disease can be dangerously asymptomatic. Genetics, chronic stress from a demanding film schedule, and decades of accumulated arterial damage can outweigh even the most committed wellness practices. Statistical data shows black men face nearly twice the cardiovascular mortality rate of their white counterparts at the same age, a disparity researchers attribute to layered factors including chronic stress from racial discrimination, healthcare access barriers, and underdiagnosis. Beyond John Wick, Reddick anchored 5 seasons of HBO's The Wire as Cedric Daniels, all 4 seasons of Fringe as Philip Broyles, 2 seasons of Bosch, and dozens of voice acting roles in major video games including Destiny and Horizon Forbidden West. Director Chad Stahelski personally dedicated John Wick Chapter 4 to him. His sudden, autopsy-less death became one of 2023's most haunting Hollywood mysteries. Bobbi Kristina Brown. On the morning of January 31, 2015, Bobbi Kristina Brown was discovered face down in the bathtub of her Roswell, Georgia townhouse, almost exactly 3 years after her mother Whitney Houston had died in nearly identical circumstances. The eerie parallel sent the world into shocked silence. Bobbi was rushed to North Fulton Hospital, then transferred to Emory University Hospital, where she remained in a medically induced coma for nearly 6 months. On July 26, 2015, with no recovery possible, she was removed from life support. She was just 22 years old. The Fulton County Medical Examiner's autopsy revealed a complex web of medical conditions. The immediate cause of death was listed as lobar pneumonia, with hypoxic encephalopathy, severe brain damage from oxygen deprivation, caused by immersion in water associated with drug use. Toxicology testing confirmed multiple substances in her system at the time of the bathtub incident: cocaine, alcohol, marijuana, morphine, and benzodiazepines. The autopsy could not definitively determine whether the immersion was accidental or intentional, and the medical examiner declined to officially classify her manner of death, leaving it as undetermined. However, prosecutors later pursued the wrongful death civil case against her boyfriend, Nick Gordon, whom a Georgia court ruled was responsible for her death in 2016 through a combination of physical assault and forced drug administration. He was ordered to pay $36 million in damages, but died of a heroin overdose himself in 2020 before paying. Beyond reality television appearances on The Houstons, On Our Own, and a small acting role on Tyler Perry's For Better or Worse, Bobbi Kristina had been struggling publicly with grief since her mother's 2012 death. The same Beverly Hilton hotel where Whitney drowned, the same drug combinations, the same fatal bathtub scene. The parallels horrified even seasoned investigators. Her autopsy didn't just reveal one tragedy, it revealed how unprocessed trauma can travel through generations until it claims the next life. Cameron Boyce. On July 6, 2019, Cameron Boyce's family found him unresponsive in his bed at his Los Angeles apartment. The Disney Channel star, beloved by millions of children for his roles as Luke Ross on Jessie, 2011 to 2015, and Carlos in the Descendants film franchise, had simply gone to sleep the night before and never woke up. He was just 20 years old. The shock paralyzed the entertainment industry, with stars from Adam Sandler to Dwayne Johnson posting heartbroken tributes to a young man whose career was just beginning. The Los Angeles County coroner initially deferred the cause of death pending toxicology and neurological investigation. Days of speculation ensued before the official autopsy report was released. The cause of death was officially determined to be sudden, unexpected death in epilepsy, SUDEP, caused by an unwitnessed seizure during sleep. The manner of death was ruled natural. SUDEP occurs in approximately 1 out of 1,000 epilepsy patients per year, but the risk rises significantly in patients with poorly controlled seizures or nocturnal episodes. Cameron had been quietly diagnosed with epilepsy several years before his death, a condition he managed privately through medication while his family lived with constant low-level fear that one seizure could be fatal. Most epilepsy seizures resolve safely. SUDEP, however, involves cardiac or respiratory arrest during or immediately after a seizure, often when the patient is alone or asleep. His autopsy revealed no drugs, no alcohol, no foul play. There was nothing dramatic to investigate. Just a young man with a manageable medical condition that, on one ordinary night, took everything from him without warning. His parents, Victor and Libby Boyce, founded the Cameron Boyce Foundation in his memory, channeling millions of dollars into epilepsy research and water safety awareness. Cameron's autopsy became a defining medical case in the ongoing global effort to understand why some epilepsy patients die suddenly, a mystery medical science is still working to solve. James Avery. On December 31, 2013, New Year's Eve, James Avery passed away at a hospital in Glendale, California, following complications from open-heart surgery. The man who had defined television fatherhood for an entire generation as Uncle Phil on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was gone at 68 years old. His family had been by his bedside for weeks as his condition deteriorated from what initially appeared to be a routine cardiac procedure. His death certificate, filed in Los Angeles County, listed the immediate cause of death as cardiorespiratory arrest, meaning his heart and lungs simultaneously ceased functioning. The contributing conditions painted a picture of cumulative decline, severe coronary heart disease, end-stage kidney disease, and type 2 diabetes. Each condition individually carried serious mortality risks. Together, they created a medical perfect storm his body could no longer survive. Coronary heart disease occurs when arteries supplying the heart become blocked or significantly narrowed by cholesterol plaque accumulation. Avery had been managing the condition for years, eventually requiring the open heart surgery that ultimately precipitated his decline. End-stage kidney disease meant his kidneys had lost over 90% of their filtering capacity, causing toxic buildup throughout his bloodstream. Type 2 diabetes, which disproportionately affects Black Americans at nearly twice the rate of white Americans, had silently damaged his cardiovascular system, kidneys, and circulation for decades. Surgical complications can be devastating in patients with multiple comorbidities. Anesthesia stresses already weakened organs. Post-operative infections become deadly when immune systems are compromised, and recovery becomes exponentially harder. In Avery's case, his body simply could not absorb the additional trauma of major cardiac surgery. Beyond Uncle Phil, Avery's 6'3" frame and commanding voice anchored decades of stage and screen work. He voiced Shredder on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, 1987 to 1996, played Judge Hawthorne on L.A. Law, and performed Shakespearean roles at the Mark Taper Forum. His autopsy revealed how Black men disproportionately carry cardiovascular and metabolic disease burdens, diseases that quietly stockpile damage long before warning bells ever ring. Clarence Williams III. On June 4, 2021, Clarence Williams III passed away at his Los Angeles home surrounded by family. The actor whose afro, mod-style suits and effortless cool had redefined Black masculinity on 1960s television as Link Hayes on The Mod Squad, 1968 to 1973, was 81 years old. Unlike many entertainment world deaths that explode across breaking news, Williams's passing arrived quietly, exactly how he had lived his entire 60-year career. His official cause of death was colon cancer, a disease he had battled privately for an extended period before his family announced his diagnosis publicly. The manner of death was ruled natural. No autopsy was performed because his terminal condition had been actively managed by oncologists for months. His family declined to disclose specific staging details or treatment timelines, consistent with Williams's lifelong commitment to dignified privacy. Colorectal cancer is the third most diagnosed cancer in American men and the second leading cause of cancer mortality. Among Black Americans, colorectal cancer mortality rates exceed those of white Americans by approximately 40%, a disparity researchers attribute to delayed screening, limited healthcare access, and biological factors not yet fully understood. Williams's death joined a tragic statistical pattern. He became the second beloved Black actor to die of colorectal cancer within a single year, following Chadwick Boseman's death in August 2020. Beyond the Mod Squad, Williams's 60-year career spanned generations. He played Wendell in Purple Rain, 1984, Prince Akeem's father-in-law in Coming to America, 1988, Reverend Davis in Tales from the Hood, 1995, reprised his iconic Mod Squad role in the 1999 film Reboot, played Henry "Bumpy" Johnson in American Gangster, 2007, and delivered haunting work in Half-Baked, 1998, opposite Dave Chappelle. He performed Shakespeare on Broadway and originated roles in plays by Sam Shepard. His autopsy-free death exposed an uncomfortable medical truth. Black communities lose too many talented people to a cancer that is highly treatable when caught early. His silence about his diagnosis, while characteristic of his dignified life, also reflected screening barriers that continue claiming lives unnecessarily. Kim Porter. On November 15, 2018, Kim Porter was found unresponsive in her Toluca Lake, California home by personal staff. The model, actress, and longtime partner of music mogul Sean "Diddy" Combs, with whom she shared 3 children, including twin daughters, was just 47 years old. Friends had spoken with her hours earlier. She had been recovering from what appeared to be a routine flu she had been battling for 2 to 3 weeks. Her sudden death stunned the entertainment world. The Los Angeles County coroner initially deferred the cause of death pending complete autopsy and toxicology analysis. Weeks of speculation followed, with rumors swirling across social media about overdoses, foul play, and conspiracy theories. The medical examiner finally released conclusive findings approximately 2 months later. Her official cause of death was lobar pneumonia, a serious bacterial infection of the lungs. The manner of death was ruled natural. Lobar pneumonia affects entire lobes of the lungs, causing massive inflammation, fluid buildup, and severely impaired oxygen exchange. While modern antibiotics treat most cases successfully when administered promptly, untreated or delayed cases can become rapidly fatal, especially when patients dismiss symptoms as just the flu. Porter had reportedly been pushing through her illness for weeks while continuing to manage business obligations and parenting responsibilities. Her immune system progressively weakened until the bacterial infection overwhelmed her body. The autopsy revealed something heartbreaking. Her death was almost certainly preventable. Earlier antibiotic treatment, hospital monitoring, or chest imaging would likely have caught the lobar progression in time. Pneumonia kills approximately 50,000 Americans annually, with disproportionate mortality among Black Americans due to delayed care-seeking and healthcare access disparities. Beyond modeling, Porter had appeared in films including Wicked Wicked Games, Mama I Want to Sing, and the BET sitcom Single Ladies. She managed Diddy's lifestyle empire while raising 4 children. Her funeral at Cascade Hills Church drew thousands. Her autopsy didn't reveal scandal. It revealed how quickly common illnesses can turn deadly when warning signs are minimized. Nelsan Ellis. On July 8, 2017, Nelsan Ellis passed away at a hospital in New York. The actor who had transformed HBO's True Blood into appointment viewing through his electrifying portrayal of Lafayette Reynolds, a flamboyant fry cook, drug dealer, and medium navigating supernatural Louisiana, was just 39 years old. His death stunned audiences who had no idea of the private battle he had been fighting for years. His family released a heartbreakingly transparent statement explaining the autopsy findings. The official cause of death was complications from heart failure caused by alcohol withdrawal. After years of alcohol addiction, Ellis had attempted to detox without medical supervision. The withdrawal triggered a cascade of medical complications: low blood pressure, an unstable heart rate, organ system stress, acute kidney failure, and eventually fatal cardiac complications. This medical pathway illustrates one of addiction's cruelest paradoxes. Severe alcohol dependence physiologically rewires the body's neurological systems. Sudden cessation can produce delirium tremens, a potentially lethal withdrawal syndrome involving seizures, hallucinations, and cardiovascular instability. Medical detox under physician supervision, with proper benzodiazepine tapering and continuous monitoring, dramatically reduces mortality risk. Attempting unsupervised withdrawal at home can be more dangerous than continued drinking. Approximately 5% of severe withdrawal cases result in death without medical intervention. His family's brutal honesty in the death announcement was deliberate. They explicitly described their hope that publicly acknowledging the cause would help other families confront addiction and prevent similar tragedies. Ellis had been seeking sobriety because he wanted to live, and the very act of trying to heal killed him. Beyond Lafayette in 7 seasons of True Blood, Ellis appeared in The Soloist, 2009, The Help, 2011, Get On Up, 2014 as Bobby Bird opposite Chadwick Boseman's James Brown, and The Butler, 2013. He had earned NAACP Image Award nominations and was widely regarded as one of his generation's most distinctive character actors. His autopsy revealed not failure of will, but failure of medical infrastructure. The reality that recovery requires support most people cannot access alone. Robert Guillaume. On October 24, 2017, Robert Guillaume passed away at his Los Angeles home with his wife Donna Brown Guillaume by his side. The 2-time Emmy winner, beloved as Benson Dubois on the long-running ABC sitcom Benson, 1979 to 1986, and as the unforgettable voice of Rafiki in Disney's The Lion King, 1994, was 89 years old. His death came nearly 2 decades after a major medical event that had nearly ended his life and career. His official cause of death was complications from a stroke he had suffered in 1999 while on the set of the ABC drama Sports Night. That initial stroke nearly killed him. Doctors gave him minimal odds of recovery, much less continued acting. Yet within months, Guillaume defied medical predictions, returning to Sports Night and incorporating his real recovery into his character's storyline. A remarkable creative decision that helped destigmatize stroke survivorship for millions of viewers. His death certificate revealed how that 1999 event had quietly compromised his health for the next 18 years. Stroke survivors carry significantly elevated risks of recurrent cerebrovascular events, cardiovascular complications, and gradual cognitive decline. His body had absorbed accumulated damage that even consistent rehabilitation could only partially counteract. By his late 80s, the cardiovascular system that had survived his first stroke could no longer compensate. Strokes occur when blood flow to the brain is interrupted, either by a clot blocking an artery, ischemic, or by a ruptured vessel causing bleeding, hemorrhagic. Without oxygen, brain cells begin dying within minutes. The effects can include paralysis, speech impairment, memory loss, and cognitive disability. Statistically, Black Americans face stroke risks 50% higher than white Americans, with significantly worse mortality rates due to layered healthcare access disparities. Beyond Benson, for which he became the only Black actor ever to win Emmys for both Outstanding Lead Actor and Outstanding Supporting Actor in a Comedy Series, Guillaume voiced Rafiki across the Lion King franchise, played Frederick Douglass on stage, and continued performing into his 80s. His autopsy-free death certificate documented 2 decades of resilient survival that finally ran out. Anthony A.J. Johnson. On September 6, 2021, Anthony Johnson, known professionally as A.J. Johnson, was found unresponsive at a store in Los Angeles. The comedian and actor whose memorable performances as Azal in Friday, 1995, Jamal in House Party, 1990, and Smoke and Bowls in Lethal Weapon 3, 1992, had defined an entire era of Black comedy, was rushed to a nearby hospital where he was pronounced dead. He was 55 years old. His sudden passing prompted immediate speculation about substance use, given his comedic persona that often joked about the very vices that had affected his life. The Los Angeles County coroner initially deferred the cause of death pending complete toxicology and pathological analysis. Approximately 3 months later, the official autopsy findings were released. The cause of death was determined to be chronic ethanol use, with the manner of death ruled natural. Notably, no acute alcohol or drug levels were found in his system at the time of death, meaning he was not intoxicated when he died. Instead, decades of heavy alcohol consumption had quietly destroyed his liver, heart, and other vital organs to the point where his body could no longer compensate. This finding illuminated a medical truth most people overlook. Chronic alcohol use damages organs cumulatively over years, often producing no obvious warning signs until catastrophic failure occurs. Long-term heavy drinking causes alcoholic cardiomyopathy, weakened heart muscle, cirrhosis, liver scarring, portal hypertension, esophageal varices that can rupture catastrophically, and immune system suppression. Death from chronic alcoholism rarely involves dramatic intoxication. It involves the accumulated weight of years finally collapsing the body's compensatory systems. Johnson's death added context to America's under-recognized crisis. Alcohol kills approximately 178,000 Americans annually, more than all illicit overdoses combined. Yet, because alcohol is legal, socially celebrated, and culturally embedded, its mortality goes largely unmourned compared to opioid crises. Beyond Friday's Azal, a J appeared in the Players Club, 1998, Menace to Society, 1993, and dozens of comedy projects spanning 3 decades. His autopsy revealed how legal substances often kill more quietly and more relentlessly than the dramatic overdoses that dominate headlines. Moses Gunn. On December 16, 1993, Moses Gunn passed away at a hospital in Guilford, Connecticut. The acclaimed stage and screen actor, whose deep voice, classical training, and commanding presence had earned him roles ranging from Shakespearean theater to Roots, The Cosby Show, and the original Shaft, 1971, was 64 years old. Born in 1929 in St. Louis, Missouri, Gunn had worked in Hollywood for over 3 decades before his death, accumulating respect from peers that far exceeded his mainstream fame. His official cause of death was listed as complications from asthma, specifically a fatal acute asthmatic episode combined with chronic respiratory deterioration. The manner of death was ruled natural. He had battled asthma for years, managing the condition through inhalers, corticosteroid medications, and careful lifestyle adjustments. Despite consistent treatment, the cumulative damage of decades of bronchial inflammation eventually overwhelmed his respiratory system. Asthma is frequently dismissed as a manageable childhood condition that adults outgrow, but the reality is far more dangerous. Severe asthma attacks can cause complete airway closure within minutes, leading to oxygen deprivation, cardiac arrest, and death. Status asthmaticus, a prolonged asthma attack that doesn't respond to standard treatments, kills approximately 4,000 Americans annually. Black Americans face asthma mortality rates nearly 3 times higher than white Americans, attributable to environmental factors, healthcare access barriers, and biological vulnerabilities researchers continue investigating. Gunn's case exemplified how chronic respiratory disease silently compounds. Years of inflammation had narrowed his airways permanently. By his early 60s, even mild triggers could produce dangerous attacks. The episode that killed him struck during a Connecticut winter, cold air being one of asthma's most common triggers. Beyond Shaft, where he played Bumpy Jonas, Gunn delivered legendary stage performances at the Negro Ensemble Company, earned a Tony Award nomination for The Poison Tree, 1976, played the wise Booker T. Washington figure Will Reno in Roots, The Next Generations, 1979, and brought gravitas to dozens of supporting film roles. His autopsy revealed how chronic conditions dismissed as manageable can quietly take some of culture's most distinguished voices, often without anyone outside their families ever knowing how hard they had been fighting just to breathe. There you have it, 16 autopsy reports, 16 final medical truths that pulled back the curtain on legends we thought we knew. Some of these revelations exposed silent battles. Others revealed how Hollywood, addiction, and even our healthcare system quietly failed people the world adored. Now we want to hear from you. Which autopsy revelation shocked you the most? Was it Chadwick's hidden 4-year fight? The haunting parallel between Whitney and Bobbi Kristina? Or one of the silent diseases nobody saw coming? Do you believe celebrities should be more transparent about their health, or is privacy their absolute right? Drop your honest thoughts in the comments below. Every voice matters here. If this video honored their memory, smash that like button, share it widely, and subscribe to Remembered Lives channel.